have a question to pose to you this morning. Who is your champion? Who is your champion? Several years ago, I heard the story of Larry Walters. And perhaps you heard about Larry Walters yourself. He was a 33-year-old man who decided he wanted to see his neighborhood from a new perspective. He went down to the local Army surplus store one morning and bought 45 used weather balloons. That afternoon, he strapped himself into a lawn chair to which several of his friends tied now helium-filled balloons. He took along with him a six-pack of beer, a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and a BB gun, figuring he could shoot the balloons one at a time when he was ready to land. Walters, who assumed the balloons would lift him about 100 feet in the air, was caught completely off guard when the chair soared more than 11,000 feet into the sky, smack into the middle of the air traffic pattern at Los Angeles International Airport. Too frightened to shoot, and he stayed airborne for more than 2 hours, forcing the airport to shut down its runways for much of the afternoon, causing long delays in flights from all across the country. Soon after he was safely grounded and cited by the police, reporters asked him 3 questions. Were you scared? He replied, yes. Would you do it again? He said, no. Why did you do it? Because, he said, you can't just sit there. My brothers and sisters, the majority of people in this life are not willing to take any risks, not willing to take a chance. We like to play things safe, but Larry from our story tells us every now and then, you can't play things safe. You can't play things cool. You have to get up and make a stand. Get up and do something or say something, or you won't be anything. You have to stand for something, my brothers and sisters, or you will fall for anything. Like Larry, we have to be willing to take a risk. Otherwise, opportunities will pass us by. Can I get a witness? Or we will live in the land of regret, full of what could have been or what should have been. Understand this principle from business is a principle for life. No risk, no reward. This principle from sports is a principle for life. No pain, no gain. And this principle from the Bible is a principle for life. No cross, no crown. When we are faced with difficulties in our lives, my brothers and sisters, we can either hide our heads in the proverbial sand, or we can make a stand. We can either turn tail and run, or we can stand and be accounted for. No one said that the problems in life would be easy to solve. But we got to understand that problems are not sent in our lives to destroy us. In fact, I heard them say, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Oftentimes we allow our problems, our pressures, our issues, our situations to distract us from what really matters. This distraction leads to a complete stoppage of positive productivity and activity in our lives. See, to us, my brothers and sisters, our problems are big. Our problems are insurmountable. Our problems are overwhelming. You're not going to pray with me. When we really think about our problems, we can't figure out how to get ourselves out from underneath our problems. Oh, we got more bills than we got paycheck. Can I get a witness? We have more work. We have more work than we have time to do it in. We have more haters than we have friends. Can I get a witness? Have more parts of our body that don't work properly than Here it was, he was facing a giant by the name of Goliath. He had a Goliath problem, my brothers and my sisters. Have you ever faced a Goliath of a problem in your life? If you haven't faced a Goliath of a problem in your life, I dare you to keep on living. Because you will face a Goliath. Foreclosure notice will come by your house. Cancer will visit you. Come on, somebody. You will get on trial in the court system on the verge of giving up and losing your mind. And you have to be like David. David realized that the same God that delivered him from smaller problems, he will still God now. And if he delivered me from it before, he will do it again. Sometimes you've got to learn from the devil's playbook. The Bible says, be smart as a serpent, but harmless as a dove. All Israel needed was one. Thousands would die if the two armies clashed, but if two warriors fight from both sides and we both agree that the winner prevails and the loser surrenders, then we can have a war that saves thousands upon thousands of lives. But God, in the equation, changes what you need. If you have God on your side, you can send the army home. Oh, you don't believe me? Gideon, who had an army of 32,000. It wasn't enough to go against the armies of the Midianites, but God, somebody say, but God. God told him that the army is too many. Can you hear God say, I don't need a lot in order to beat the devil. Send home those who are afraid. 22,000 went home on the word that they could go because they were afraid. And God said 10,000 is still too many. Keep only those that lack the water in their hands and send home those that kneel down and drink the water. In other words, keep the ones that pay attention and send the others home. Well, 9,700 got the Buddha, but God doesn't need a whole lot to get the victory. Can I get a witness? 300 men of power took down an army of thousands upon thousands. When I came out here on my way to see Jesus, is to let somebody know, as long as you got King Jesus, you don't need nobody else. We are told in the text that Goliath is an imposing figure. He stands, according to most interpretation of this text, some 9 feet 6 inches tall. He wears an armor of 125 pounds, carries a sword of immense size and weight, has both shield and spear. At the sight of him, men run. It's right here in the text. This is no gentle giant. This is no scrawny soldier. This is a battle-hardened war machine that comes out and issues a challenge. He seems undefeatable. He seems invincible. He seems unbeatable as he comes out to issue his challenge. Can't you hear him? And I want you to know that the enemies will come against you. He'll try to take your job. He'll try to take your house. He'll try to take your marriage. He'll try to take your children. He'll try to take your money. Can I get a witness? He'll try to take your friends. He'll try to take your job. I came to tell somebody that the enemy will come, but I also came to tell somebody, let him come. Can't walk around willy-nilly and scared of the devil. Y'all don't play with me. The scene is set because Israel is scared already. They know they face an uphill battle. But the Philistines, come on somebody, give them a way out. Instead of two armies fighting, instead of thousands dying, instead of thousands of funerals for thousands of soldiers on both sides, instead of mothers crying over fallen sons and newlyweds becoming widows, grieving over young husbands, Goliath says, send me a man, one man willing to be the champion champion and face the enemy. There are Goliaths in your lives, and you need a champion. Someone willing to stand up to the Goliath in your lives, fight on your behalf, win the battle, get the victory, pass the test, overcome the opposition. You need somebody able, but when you look around, all you see is a living army that's really an army of dead men's bones. People are willing to help you. People more concerned about themselves than they are your predicament. People who are hardly able to defend themselves, much less to defend you. See, there are a whole lot of people who want to be the champion, but they don't have what it takes. Look at the text. Look at the text. They are too scared. They are afraid to go against such a tall mountain of a man. They have no faith, and no one enters God into the equation. Y'all ain't gonna pray with me. They should be praying, but they're too busy being afraid to even take their eyes off the enemy. They're not doing nothing at all. They are not going forward against the enemy. They just sit there and stare. This is supposed to be a nation of God's people, but only the enemy is invoking God's name. That's a problem. Come on, somebody. This test reveals that they have no personal relationship with God. How can they help you if they can't get a word to the Lord? I can hear Israel saying, it's times like these, I need somebody who can pray. Somebody who can reach heaven and get a prayer through. Somebody who can get a word unto the Lord. These men are liver. They have always, come on somebody, allowed their problems to send them running in the opposite direction. It's here in the text, at the sight of Goliath, the men fled. I don't care how big your problem is, you can't run from it. If the FBI is coming to your door tomorrow and the love of your life has walked out on you, and you owe every creditor and the friends that you think you have all disappointed you, don't you give up, don't you give in, don't you throw in the towel, don't you dare quit, don't you take suicide as an option. Stand up. Running from your problems will only get you into bigger problems. So what your credit is all messed up. They won't trust you with an apple. When Wells Fargo and Wachovia says no, Jesus says yes. I got a deacon whose credit is shot to HE double hockey sticks. And his car broke down. And he has to have a car to get back and forth to his job. And he needs a good one because his job is long distance. And he is required to drive. Well, Chase said no. TD Bank said no. PNC said no. Capital One said no. The credit union said no. Even the 25% interest bank said no. But there is another bank. It's called grace and mercy. And when the others say no, come on here. If he was here, he'd tell you what he did. He would tell you he applied to the bank using rheology with tears. And God made the same banks that would come on here. They tried their own rules to offer him a car payment that he would pick and choose for somebody who had 800 credit score. I came to tell you, it's not fair. It's favor. Come on, somebody. Favor. It's not fair. And that's all right. Goliath wanted a giant, but there was no giants in Israel. There's only one small man with with the baby face of a boy. He was barely 5 feet tall.
Wow.
He was skinny as a stick. Had no combat experience. Never been trained on weapons of war. Didn't know how to wield a sword. Didn't know how to carry a spear. Didn't know how to throw a javelin. He didn't know how to protect himself with a shield. But unlike everybody else, unlike the soldiers who ran, the men who stared, and the king who was petrified, this boy, like a man, come on, said, who is this uncircumcised Philistine that he should defy the armies of the living God? David stood up. And you ask everybody that day, they will tell you that this little man became their champion. But if you ask David, and this is all I really came to tell you, he would say he wasn't the champion. He was just willing to fight. He wasn't the soldier. He was just willing to go out and face Goliath. He wasn't a warrior. He was just willing to go to war. Listen to David's own words from the text. He said, this day will the Lord deliver thee into my hands, and all this assembly shall know that the Lord saved, not with sword and spear, for the battle is the Lord's. In other words, I may have fought Goliath, but I did not get the victory. It was the God in me. For greater is he that is in me than he that is in the world. I may have been physically the one that took up a smooth stone and threw it at Goliath, but Goliath did not fall because of the physical nature of the stone that knocked him down. Goliath fell because the stone represented the rock of ages. The stone which the builders rejected. The stone which become the cornerstone. David will tell you the reason why I won was because I knew that the real person that was being tested by this problem was not me. It was the Lord. On some trust in horses and some trust in chariots, but we will trust in the name of the Lord our God. When you're looking for a champion, don't look for Goliath tall and imposing and warlike, because we don't have Goliath in our ranks. But look for David, somebody willing to let God use him. Look for David, come on somebody, and the David in you. Don't just sit there afraid like other men, but stand up for the Lord. Get a Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego type of faith. Our God is able to deliver us from the fiery furnace. But even if our God doesn't deliver us, we will not bow to your image, O King. I am a believer, and that God will do it. Can I get a witness? God will deliver you from the storms of your life. God will deliver you from the troubles of the world. He will deliver you from the lion's den. He will deliver you from Pharaoh's whips and Egyptian chains. He will deliver you from prison walls and hospital beds. Won't God do it? Won't God do it? Won't John Patton was a missionary in the New Hebrides Islands. One night, hostile natives surrounded the mission statements, intent on burning out the Pattons and killing them. Patton and his wife prayed during the terror-filled night that God would deliver them. When daylight came, they were amazed to see that their attackers were all gone. A year later, the chief of the tribe was converted to Christ. Remembering what happened that night, Patton asked the chief what had kept him from burning down the house and killing them. The chief replied in surprise, "Who were all those men with you?" Patton knew no men were present, but the chief said he was afraid to attack because he had seen hundreds of big men in shining garments with drawn swords circling the mission station. You don't hear me. You don't have to fight